So you are interested into a new Planet Coaster, maybe Planet Coaster 2. You are interested into a Planet Zoo console edition, or you are even interested into a brand new Planet game. Well, let's talk about this from a financial standpoint, and not out of my point of view, but actually Frontier's point of view, because we just got the new annual report of 2022, and there are a couple of things I need to explain, but first of all, let's do it. You don't have to go through all the data and all the files. I'm gonna do it for you, and there will be some very good and spicy information why we can be very positive about either of the two I said at the beginning of the video. So let's do that. Alright, so first things first, you have to remember that an annual report is always from a financial standpoint, and it's made for the investors and for people giving money to Frontier. So what they're going to do is to present the games and the stuff they do in the best way possible. And if we are going to look at this, we always have to keep in mind not our own wishes and our own assumptions, but we have to keep in mind what would a company like Frontier, who has to pay over 600 people monthly and who has to earn a lot of money, what would they do in order to be successful in the future? So there are two things they have to keep in mind. One is to make the people happy who buy their games, because obviously the more happy they are, the more money they're willing to spend on either existing games or new games. There's going to be a very special strategy that Frontier is running, so this is why it makes a lot of sense. They have a strategy of launch, develop, and nurture a game. So they always have the same strategy of bringing a game out and then develop the game over time with paid DLCs across the line, which is pretty common strategy nowadays, but as we have our games, we love this strategy. The second thing is, two fingers, two is they want to make the most money, so they're naturally going to do what makes them the most money. And here's where things start to be very positive. But to understand this better, let's jump into the actual report, shall we? Alright, so here we are in the report, and as you can see, this is a brand new financial year 2022 financial results. So let me just quickly explain why this is interesting. So the financial year of Frontier is always a little bit ahead of time. So the fiscal year 2022 started in March of the last year, so in March 21, and it always goes to March 22, and then a couple of months later, once all the numbers and data is in, basically this is then what you get. So this is just as a little reminder, it's not for the full year. Obviously the year hasn't ended, and hence you have to see it as what it is. Now jumping in, we can skip a couple of pages and end at this page for the first time, because that one over here is maybe the single most important one to have a look at. So look at this wonderful return of investment rate. Now we always have the same, like they aligned the games as when they start them, this is the starting point of a game. Obviously developing the game makes the money go down, and then from there, boom, you go into the positives. As you can see, this line down here is showing the positive line, so to say, or the break even, I should say. From this point on, you can see how the games develop. Now I want to push your focus first of all to this area over here. This is the Planet Coaster line. Obviously this is the game, the self-published game from Frontier that is existing the longest time. It's in year 6 now, and you can tell that the release of the console edition of Planet Coaster didn't only give them a huge boost in terms of money inflow, but also it just kind of raised the angle in which this curve is running. So if you compare the angle that goes over here with the angle that has it afterwards, it just shows that this game is even more sustainable after they have released the console edition. And this is already the first little glance at what might happen to Planet Zoo at a certain point. So given they have the same target timing, you can see there is just one fiscal year remaining until a console edition would be on its way. Now let me get this point straight. I have no inside information. We have no confirmation whatsoever. There's no leak or whatnot. This is just pure logic, okay? This is just pure understanding of how a financial product works. Now, obviously, this time around, Frontier had to invest into, developing a console edition of the game. Now, as it is the same engine, the very same controls, and the very same team behind, it shouldn't be as complicated anymore to bring Planet Zoo to the consoles. Also, the spread of next-gen or current-gen consoles is way higher than it used to be with Planet Coaster, so also in terms of power, it shouldn't be that huge of a problem. Now, what this also means is that there is a huge chance we are going to get this. A second thing I wanted to show you, and this is for all the Planet Zoo lovers out there, look at the line of Planet Zoo. It is outperforming Jurassic World Evolution at this time. If there is not anything crazy happening, Jurassic World Evolution will be crossed after just the year 2 mark, because Planet Zoo is performing absolutely ridiculously. And what you can see with this line as well is they're already trying to match on like the line, you know, it's not the game, but it's already nearly matching Jurassic World Evolution. And this is especially interesting because Jurassic World Evolution is a big IP that usually has a lot more people coming to it because of the IP, and then it is console edition and computer at the same time. So they have like 3 platforms on which they can sell the game and the DLCs, while Planet Zoo is exclusively on computer at, you know, PC at this point in time. So we can safely say that Planet Zoo is their most successful game from a financial standpoint, which leads to the fact that we shouldn't be too worried that they don't continue doing the DLCs. Obviously, as you can tell over here, this is somehow where the end of you know, support of the DLCs of Planet Coaster was. That was just at the end of year 4. I think the last one was the Ghostbusters one, and then like half a year later they announced the console edition, which leads to the fact that we can all assume Planet Zoo might actually do the same. Maybe they go even a little bit further into the future and then, you know, maybe launch a DLC on both platforms, because what we have seen with Planet Coaster as well is that they did release all the DLCs for Planet Coaster in a couple of, you know, batches. They didn't release every single one. They had like 3 DLCs at a time until they were at the 11 DLCs. So like during the course of a year, Planet Coaster Console Edition and the original Computer Edition were at the exact same status. So if Planet Zoo would do the same and still continue doing DLCs, they could do exactly that. Try to match up the you know, the Console Edition during a year, and then after a year, being all at the same point, they could even go in with a huge DLC or whatnot. So very interesting over here. But that's not all. You know, there's more in this report we should look at. You don't have to look at all the revenue. They make more money than they ever did, but obviously, you know, because of the global situation, the revenue was good, but the overall win was maybe, other than net growth was good, but you know, the overall win wasn't that great. We've got F1 Manager, obviously. Jurassic World Evolution, Dominion, as you can see, everything is very nicely rated. But what I wanted to show you is this one over here. So, sales performance of Planet Zoo is excellent. As you can see, with a 94% annual revenue sustain rate. That means that basically, as you have seen in the, you know, in the graph, that the angle in which it's growing is almost the same. So it's 94% of the same angle as it used to be before. So you can tell already it's pretty much matching its performance from beforehand. And obviously, there can actually be a 3rd anniversary update or whatever, a bigger update, you never know. But as these reports are made now and there is still the end of year missing, it could actually also be that the 3rd year might even be better than the 94% rate of the year before. So maybe they're going back to match it. Over 3 million base game units sold, 11 paid DLC packs now available with more to come, which is great because that does confirm we will get more. Last time around they did say throughout the entire fiscal year of 22. Now there is not the same thing over here, which could mean that we don't get DLCs throughout the entire next year, but as I said, it might be that they go and then first of all match up with the console edition and then, you know, try to do the same again, so we never know. And usually through the Steam Workshop Health Player community, this is, you know, kind of a little trick that they do to the financial people. We all know it's not, like, per definition it is user-generated content, but as we all know, it's not like UGC as we had with the TMTK, but is a great example of the strategy of develop, launch, and nurture strategy, as you can see. So we can all be very much hoping for the future that they will have a lot more DLCs naturally coming, because it is, you know, isolating it from all the other effects on the environmental effects. It is their best performing game they have ever released themselves, and that in a genre that isn't sustained by a big IP behind them, and as we can tell on that slide, with a big movie launch even supporting it. So comparing this to the to this game, like to Jurassic World Evolution, it is even more impressive how good Planet Zoo is running. So that leads me to the next thing, which I'm going to have a little look at, and this is basically the outlook for the next year. As we can see that everything is working just fine, and we have a little Planet Coaster guy over here. So they are going to have a success story obviously in place for the fiscal year 23. Again, as a little reminder, the fiscal year 23 is only only going towards the to March, April of next year. So afterwards, fiscal year 24 starts. And we all know that, and I'm just going to go back to the wonderful graph over here. Where is that graph again? There you go. We all know that in the next year, they are going to have another game launched. So there is already basically a confirmation that at the end of next year, which is in the middle of fiscal year 24, just a reminder, that is the end of 23, there is a new game coming. And this is where we are going to have to talk about Planet Coaster 2. Just going to jump back into this graph over here. Now, let me just give this point a little reasoning. I think, you know, at this point in time, people are willing to have another Planet game. I think it's definitely a confirmation, because you can see how many people just watch one single Sylph video. You know, when the wonderful Silver is going to post a Planet Coaster video, people are going crazy because they love the game, they love theme parks. You know, the pandemic is almost over and people can go back to theme parks. So the hype is there, and it would make a lot of sense actually to, you know, just do that, have another coaster game. Also, you have an engine ready, you have the base models ready. It would be a financially and also sustainable growth type of thing. It would be super clever to have that game. We also know from certain leaks that it might have already been in development, so why wouldn't you do that? And we can all agree on the fact that it might have been delayed by a year or two because of the pandemic. But now I think it's the time to say that next year there is a really good chance that the newly confirmed IP that's going to launch at the end of next year is going to be Planet Coaster. Because again, remember, a console edition does not count as a new game. You know, that's just an extension to the existing game roster they have. And Frontier also confirmed that this is going to happen. So we don't know exactly if it's that, but maybe it is going to be also another Planet game, even though at this point I have no idea. Frontier basically did save nearly every possible franchise to the Planet name is already saved as a name, so we can't even go with that. It could be Planet Water Park, it could be Planet Hotel, it could be Planet Cities, whatever. But I'm quite certain that it might actually be Planet Coaster 2, just because Planet Coaster has been their little baby, you know, starting the Frontier self-publishing era, I should say. And then, as you can tell, it would make a lot of sense to go with this success, because I think a lot of Planet Zoo people would have interest in that too. And as it is the most successful game, why shouldn't they do this? And then I'm very interested to see if in the future there's going to be another Planet game. What do you guys think? What would you, actually this is a good thing to end this video, what kind of Planet game would you wish to see Frontier do on this engine with the experience they have in this kind of franchise? What do you think would be great as a Planet game? Honestly, I'm a little bit, yeah, I'm not really biased here, because the only thing I want is Planet Coaster, because I love theme parks and roller coasters. But apart from that, I'm totally open. So what do you guys think? What would you love to see? Also, this has been a little bit of a different video, but if you want to see like another time lapse or another speed build, make sure to click to the top right now, because I'm going to put you a little card there so you can see that. And also make sure to check in the other videos. I hope this was interesting to you, and this could get your hopes high for more DLCs for Planet Zoo, for a Planet Zoo console edition in the future, and hopefully for a Planet Coaster 2 in the span of the next 12 months. So let's keep our eyes peeled on what Frontier is doing. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Make sure to drop a comment down below if you did enjoy it. Also put a thumbs up. I can finally show that. Look at that thumbs up. Awesome. And again, if you want to watch another video of mine, you know, top right, I don't know where I'm pointing, I never do this, you know, he's in my face, there's a video, whatever. Enjoy that one, have a good time. Thank you so much as always, and goodbye.